Okay, guys, welcome back. Welcome back for the last time, as this is the epilogue episode for our Crusades campaign. Now, this is basically the same turn I left you guys on, basically after victory. I did get rid of all the messages and basically prep the campaign as if there was going to be a future turn, though as I've mentioned in past episodes, that's just... I always leave my campaigns in a state as if I was going to pick it up again, and that's why I did that. There's no other reason, there's no point to doing it, I just did it. So you'll see like a couple of armies have moved, where previously they hadn't, and units are still being retrained. Just ignore all that, the campaign is not continuing, it's just that I want to leave my campaigns in a state as if I was going to pick them up again. Now, since this is the epilogue campaign, as a reminder, there is no battles either in this episode. We're just going to be going through a map reveal, then we're going to go through some saves and do map reveals during those as well. Talk a bit about like army composition, settlement development, things like that. So if you don't care to hear any of that, go away. I mean, this episode is probably not going to interest you. You probably want to watch one of my other campaigns that's going on right now. I have a Lord of the Rings Remastered campaign going on for Rome Remastered. And, of course, I have past campaigns, so you could watch one of those if you prefer. But anyway, I assume, having heard that, you're still here. You want to see the map reveal. So let's go ahead and begin. I did also toggle Perfect Spy. Couldn't remember if that worked or not, which is why I did it off camera, because I was like, does that even work? Apparently it does. Because I can actually see... well, actually, that one's a little close to an agent. Let's see, I would need, like, here, one of these settlements over here. Roads. Yes, you see, I can see the garrison, and I can see all the buildings, thanks to Perfect Spy. Even though I have no forces anywhere near these places. Alright, but anyway, so, the map is now revealed, so I guess let's just start here in the south, and what we'll do is we'll just kind of go around up here. I guess we don't need to see over here because that's my territory. So then we'll just go up here into the north and then head west to look at all the Byzantine territory. Not that I'm expecting too much to see down here, to be honest. I mean, everything... I already had like a regular spy over here and a couple more spies coming to basically take a look at things. But man, I didn't think they had any merchants, the Egyptians. And then suddenly there was like 5 of them. I managed to have my merchants off a couple, but then I lost one of my merchants on like an 87% chance. And of course, they're always... Well, actually, they're not great merchants. Huh, I thought they had like a really good merchant here somewhere. No, they all have only 2 or 3. Yet, despite only having 2 or 3 piles of coins, they actually still are not easy to kill. And 71% is good, but it's not like the perfect like 90% that I usually would have when there's such a disparity. And of course, if I take some of my other merchants, it gets even lower and lower to 63%. And even though they have like double the piles of gold that these merchants have. So I actually am also bringing, or have tasked an assassin to go over there and assist. He's actually been running around and killing some merchants already, so he should be perfect for the job. There he is. I think he actually does have like a 95% chance of killing these guys. Also, I just remembered that Perfect Spy does have a bit of an issue, because you'll notice the game keeps freezing every time I click on something, and I think that's Perfect Spy doing that. Actually, I think that's exactly what happened in like, because I used Perfect Spy in my remastered campaign too, when we did the map reveal, the Alexander remastered map reveal. And I think I had issues there too, so we might have to avoid using that in future reveals, like as we go through the saves, unless there's something I really, really want to see, I guess. Alright, but anyway, that's it. This is the state that Egypt is left in at the end. So now let's head up to the north here and see what the Byzantines are up to, if indeed... Oh, so they did not take Tbilisi. I feel like they should be able to with this force. But it looks like they've already fought a battle at one point, or at least the rebels did. Maybe not this force of Byzantines. So maybe they defeated a previous Byzantine force. Of course, they have Yerevan and all these places. They actually have considerable forces around here. Let's see. Oh, they have quite a heretic problem at Heraclea. Sinope, which I seem to remember the name of that city from the Alexander Remastered campaign. Rhodes, of course. Okay, well, honestly, I guess there isn't too much to discuss. I mean, they have armies. They're not really at war with anyone, though, other than Egypt, though, right? Let's see. Oh, I guess I didn't need to do that because there's not a lot of factions here. So yes, they're at war with the Egyptians, but I guess they don't really have a way of striking out at them unless, you know, they do so by water. Or, I mean, they could walk through my territory. They certainly haven't had a problem doing that up to this point. Where is it? Yeah, you see this guy here, even though they don't have military access. These places actually remained rebel, and actually I didn't realize that there were two of them. I actually thought that there would just be one settlement here. I actually do have a mission to capture this one from the Knights Hospitaller. I was actually considering doing it, like this army here under Mr. Lusignan. I was actually, once he just retrained a bit, and actually the fleet did as well, I was going to have this fleet transport him over here to take this place. Because I thought this was the only settlement here, and I didn't realize that that's not the same name as on that, that mission there. Dang. You see, it's a fortress, too. And see, 8 turns. Ow. And you see, I wouldn't be able to make it there in time to, like, besiege the place, or siege the place out. I would have to attack it. So I could wait until the last possible turn just to deplete their forces. Again, that would be if we were continuing the campaign, which we are not. We are not. All right, well, I guess that's a kind of short map reveal, but I don't know what else to say. I hold most of the map, and what I don't hold, like, I still had, like, good view over. Like, I could see pretty much everything for the Kingdom of Jerusalem. Like, I already knew they had Aliyah and Karak and all those places. While I didn't know everything about the Egyptians, I did have spies around here showing me, like, important stuff. And the Byzantines, well, the Byzantines were my allies. And since we're not at war with them, I guess it doesn't really matter where their armies are or what they're doing. I guess it's interesting that they still haven't taken Tbilisi after all this time. If this campaign ever were to continue, again, it won't. I've never picked up a campaign after I've finished it, but just hallucinating with me for a moment. We would probably finish off the Egyptians. And then probably it would be war with the Byzantines. I mean, if I ever were to pick up a campaign again, I assume I would just have, like, a small, like, contained goal to go to, since I don't really have a specific one handed by the campaign anymore. So I would think that, like, my goal, if I were ever to pick up this campaign again, would just be to finish off the Egyptians and then call it good. And then there would have to be another time in the future where I felt like picking up this campaign again, and so then maybe we would have a war with the Byzantines at that point. But anyway, all right, well, I guess that's it for the map reveal here at the end. So let's start going through the saves. And again, we'll do map reveals and maybe Perfect Spy as well, just so that we can see what went on throughout the rest of the campaign. But without further delay, let's go right back to the very beginning. All right, guys, so here we are, the very first save that I made in the campaign, and it's only on the second turn here, so everything should basically be as it would be at the beginning. I doubt any settlements have changed hands, for example. Just armies probably have moved around a bit. Looking at the map, you know, there doesn't seem to be as many rebel settlements as I felt there would be. But then again, this is kind of a small campaign map. All right, so for these map reveals as we go through the saves, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the bottom left of the map here and just kind of go around like, whoops, like so. And then stop at Constantinople. So the Egyptians do start off with Siwa, and of course with Egypt itself. Oh, this is kind of surprising, though. At the end of the campaign, Alexandria and Tanta, those are actually huge, or very large at least, settlements. I think Tanta is large. I think Alexandria might be huge. Looks like Cairo actually starts off as a large city, which I thought all three of these might start off as fairly large cities, but no, this one actually starts off quite tiny. But it got quite large by the end of the campaign. Okay, so Elia does start off as rebel, and then of course we have the Kingdom of Jerusalem. Yeah, there are lots of rebel settlements starting off right next to the Crusader states. Which is funny, because I didn't really go for them at first. I went for the Turks at first, because I considered them the greater threat, both in terms of having large armies, but also being able to kind of move however they want. But I didn't actually come and take any of these until much later, and in fact, actually, Banyas, I think, was taken by the Kingdom of Jerusalem. So I took Damascus, Baalbek, and Homs, but that's not for quite a while yet in the campaign. And of course, the desert is just, well, I was going to say filled with rebel settlements, but actually they're quite far away from each other. I wouldn't say the desert is filled at all. I would say it's mostly barren, empty desert. Basra, Kufa. One day these will all be our domains, as will Kermanshah. Okay, so the Turks do not start off with Kirkuk or any of the settlements here in the mountains, and neither do the Byzantines. It's all just rebels until you get to Trebizond and Alatia. Well, actually, no. There's still settlements here, too, that are rebels. All right, but anyway, for my own territory, obviously, it's just this stuff here. And again, we haven't taken any settlements at this point, so these are the settlements that the Principality would start off with. All right, so and then we have our... Oh, wait, we already looked at this over here, but the Turks have Baghdad, Tikrit, Mosul to start off with, which... Well, Mosul starts as a fortress. Okay. They must have made it into a citadel at some point then, because by the time I got there, it was already a citadel. And actually... I don't remember exactly what the population is needed to become a citadel, but I actually think they're already above it, and they could, like, make it a citadel right then and there. Let's see. I have fortress, and it's 7,612. Yeah, I think they must be, if not there, they must be somewhat close to already being able to make it into a citadel. The Baghdad is a large city. I think it's a huge city by the time I get there, though. Or is it? No, maybe I converted it to a huge city now that I think about it. I think I did, actually. Looks like they do have some Janissaries over here, but I don't remember fighting any Janissaries myself.
I will offer the infidels a fair fight.
Looks like that's the only Janissary unit, unless there's one... Oops. Not that.
The Sultan will be most pleased at your demise, infidel.
Oops, I did it again, but you know what? It's still showing me the army anyways. But yeah, I guess, yeah, they had one Janissary unit, and either I didn't fight it, like they had managed to lose it before I got there, or, you know, I just didn't see it in all the fighting maybe with other units. Oh, unless... Janissaries? 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 Nope, no Janissaries. Okay. The reason I'm pointing out the Janissaries is just because I think they're top tier Turkish units. Alright, but anyway, alright, that should be it for the first map reveal, and the other ones will probably go a little faster simply because we now have a good basis for like where everyone started off, what's rebel, what isn't. But as we go through the saves, we can kind of speed right through them. So let's go right to the next one. Alright, so we actually went right to the next save, and even though it has a date of the very next day, it actually has been quite a few turns. I think some things have changed. Not over here, though. Egypt still has the same settlements, though its armies are encroaching on the Kingdom of Jerusalem, certainly. I actually think they take Aliyah at one point, and then the Kingdom of Jerusalem must take it away from them. I think we could skip over the desert stuff because... Oh! Did the Turks take Al-Basra? Oh, that's right. That was the last settlement of theirs that I took from them, wasn't it? Or was it? Or does it rebel at some point? I can't remember now. It's a good thing we do these, going back through these saves and looking at these map reveals, because then I can remind myself of things that happened. Obviously, all the rest of this is just going to be rebel settlements. So, I can't help but notice the settlements have changed. Like, when we looked at them in the last save, they looked like, what would you call it? Like an oasis in the desert? Like, just literally like some water and some trees, but now they look like actual towns. That's just a thought. I mean, I don't think it actually changes anything. Like, they're both towns, but it's just odd that it looks different. And I see that the Kingdom of Jerusalem actually came out here at some point, but they definitely didn't take it. Because otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to take it from them, because we were allies. And yes, as you can see, things have certainly changed already. Let's see, the Turks took Kermanshah. We have Baghdad under siege already. You see, just skipping to the next save, and we've already gone so far ahead, because there would have been many battles, like those two armies that were standing there, and we would have fought at Raqqa, and, you know, some other battles. Mosul is under siege, as you can see. But we've already mostly defeated the Turks at this point. Not because we've taken all of their settlements, mind you, but because at some point, I can't remember exactly when it happened or which battle it was. Was it at Kermanshah? Maybe it was. I think at Kermanshah, or at some battle, we actually killed off the last of the Turkish generals. And so their faction was destroyed, and all of their settlements became rebels. So when we eventually come west and start taking like Iconium and Amorium, they're actually rebel at that point. And it looks like actually all of these also start off as rebel too. Okay, so at this point, the Turks actually had Caesarea. At the end of the campaign, I think that's actually still a rebel settlement as well. Or actually, maybe the Byzantines have taken it. Well, I guess we'll see at the end. Right, but anyway, here's... well, actually, here, let's take a look. Kingdom of Jerusalem, I don't think they've changed at all. I've taken Homs at this point, but not Baalbek or Damascus. Again, I focused pretty heavily on the Turks at first. Mosul is going to be sieged out in a few turns. Baghdad is going to be attacked, presumably on the next turn. We definitely did not siege it out. Okay, see, we've already got the ladders built at this point, so we take Baghdad quite quickly. Well, quickly after the siege began, anyways. And it looks like the Byzantines have started to push east, because I'm pretty sure that was a rebel settlement. I think it was Trebizond and Malatya, which started off in the hands of the Byzantines and myself, respectively. So the Byzantines have already started to push east at this point. I wonder when exactly the Egyptians decided to go for Constantinople, because that would be kind of interesting to know. Because remember, at some point, the Egyptians do take Constantinople, and they must have had a fleet come up here to do it, and I'm wondering if we'll actually see the fleet take off at any point. Like, it's definitely not that fleet. I think it's too early in the campaign to see the fleet, but just a thought. In fact, I wonder if we'll see if the Egyptians were at war with the Byzantines at that point. All right, well, anyway, it looks like that's it, so let's move on to the next save. Okay, guys, welcome back. So, this is the very next save, so it looks like it's 11 turns into the future, and a lot has already changed again. Not really here, though I can't help but notice that there is an army here that has this, I think this is the flag, meaning that they're going to go on jihad.
I do not seek trouble, Sadiq.
Which means this might be the army that actually ends up going to Constantinople. Which, we'll take a look at Constantinople in a moment. It looks like the Egyptians are going to take Aliyah. And they are pushing into Kingdom of Jerusalem territory. I know they take Ascalon at some point. When we get up here to my territory. Okay, at this point, I think this is King Philip. Yes, King Philip has taken Baalbek, and he'll be heading to Damascus very soon. The Turks have been defeated, which you can already see by the fact that all the settlements are rebel settlements now. Oh, okay, so the Kingdom of Jerusalem did actually attack at one point. I wonder if I should have noticed that, like on the campaign map, if, like when I come to take the camp, should I have noticed all the damage already to the garrison here? That's interesting, because that means they failed to take it. Because again, they did not have it when I came over here. I guess it's possible that they took it, and then maybe it rebelled against them. Yes, by this point, we have Roger the Crusader, along with then Regent, soon-to-be Prince, Reynold, walking around with this kind of motley, random assortment of troops to just take rebel settlements. Took Al-Basra. And yes, I think it must have been rebel. Ah, it was rebel at that point. But it was rebel not because the Turks never took it. It was rebel because the Turks had been defeated by that point. And I think it turned rebel, and that's why he then took it. Either that or it was Turkish. I almost feel like I need to go look up that episode. But no, I'm pretty sure by that point the Turks had been defeated, and that was a rebel settlement again. Oh. Huh. Kermanshah is not under my control, which means that must not be the battle in which we defeated the Turks and, like, killed off their remaining family members. Maybe, was it Al-Basra? Dang, I'm going to have to look that up, because now that's going to bother me if I don't know the answer to that. We've taken Mosul, Baghdad, Tikrit. Yes, I think this is basically right after we had taken Mosul, because we didn't have the forces built up yet to go for Kermanshah and Kirkuk, so it took a few turns for us to get there.
Wait.
All right, well, anyway. See, as we head north, yep, this is all still rebel. The Byzantines aren't exactly pushing into the territory yet. And again, all the Turkish settlements have now become rebels. This is all rebel territory, as far as the eye can see. And we get into Byzantine territory, and now we come to Constantinople. And as you can see, the Fourth Crusade has popped off by this point, and they have taken Constantinople from the Byzantines. To be honest, I'd already forgotten about the Venetians and the Fourth Crusade. Because I think did I not say just a bit ago that I thought the Egyptians had taken Constantinople from the Byzantines, or did I just say they took Constantinople? Well, in my head, at least, I thought from the Byzantines, even if I didn't say it out loud. But yes, of course, it's actually the Venetians who are in control of Constantinople at this point, and they're the ones who then lose it to the Egyptians. Then the Venetians basically become a horde faction again, and they just sort of come down here to be killed by me, though that's still a few turns to go, or a few turns away. Actually, it's more than a few turns. It gets quite a while, because we still have to conquer our way through all of these settlements here to get to here. No, the Venetians don't seem to have a lot of troops, though. In fact, they have hardly any. Oh. So it wasn't by boat. The Crown Prince just walked... Wait, did he walk through my territory and I just didn't notice him? Or did I notice him in the middle of the campaign and I just forgot? You know, I feel a strange stirring in my head, and I feel like I actually did notice him walking through here at some point. But I just sort of ignored him because we weren't at war, and he just left basically immediately. Which, I think I've remarked on this before, but armies can move really far on this campaign map. Especially if you don't bring, like, artillery or anything with you. And I think if you go on Crusade or Jihad, your army movement doubles. So, like, William here would be able to, like, go from Antioch to Diyarbakir in, like, one turn. I mean, I don't know if you could literally make it there, but it would be close, I think. Well, actually, I think we could do this. Okay, yes. So he would be able to make it, like, basically past Diyarbakir. Oh, you can stop. I don't actually need you to go anywhere. But the reason I'm bringing that up is just because, like, it's possible that there was literally only one turn in which he was in my territory, and then the very next turn he would have been gone, because he could just zip across the map really, really quick. In fact, if I click on him,
I care little of what.
Sorry, I'm just clicking on him so that you can see, like, look how far he could move in one turn if he wanted to. He could go all the way back to, like, Cursa here.
I care little of what you think of my ways, infidel.
And if he wanted to go further south, like, he could actually get into the province of Iconium right here.
What you think of.
Yes, yes, I'm sure you don't care about what I think of you. Be quiet. You're already dead. Actually, I have no idea if he's dead or not in at the end of the campaign. I think he is, though, because I don't think that was the name of the Crown Prince. I think we already fought a Crown Prince and maybe even killed... Oh, no, he escaped that last battle. Hold on, let me see. I don't think that's the same portrait. All right, but anyway, there's no need to discuss it in depth. The point is that he is very, very close to Constantinople, which I assume is the target of the jihad, and that's why he's marching through here to get there. And the Egyptians are at war with the Byzantines at this point, so he's either fought some battles at, in between then and now, or maybe when they declared the jihad, it was still in control, or the Byzantines were still in control, and that just kind of automatically puts you at war. Oh yes, actually, when we loaded the last save, the Byzantines were still in control of Constantinople, but there was already an army on jihad. Oh wait, was that this save? I'm confusing myself. If you guys are confused, it's okay. I'm confused too, and I'm probably just making you even more confused. But okay, yes. I guess this was the save in which we first noticed an army that had the jihad flag above it, but there must have been one already, at least like a couple or few turns ago, because this guy's all the way up here, and he must have walked, because he definitely didn't drive his boat like up these rivers or something to get here. Right, but anyway, that's interesting. Here I was, assuming that the Egyptians must have brought a fleet and dropped him off, because there's no way he walked through Kingdom of Jerusalem's territory, my territory, and the Byzantines to get there. But nope, apparently that's exactly what happened. I was going to say, and maybe I already mentioned it, but basically the Venetians don't seem to have the same number of troops that they did when I fought them. So I wonder if when he takes Constantinople and they become a horde faction, it's kind of like the way it works in Barbarian Invasion, where they just get like a bunch of like troops. Because they definitely had more troops than this when I ended up fighting them. All right, well, I think that is it for this save, so let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay, welcome back. It looks like it's been, was it 26 turns last time? In which case it's actually only been 8 turns. I might have to skip a couple of saves or just get through them a lot faster. Because otherwise we'll be here all day. Nothing has really changed over here except for Ascalon, I can see, has changed hands. And actually Egypt has quite a lot of troops over here. Kingdom of Jerusalem is going to be hard-pressed, and I know they take Arsuf at some point. Oh, they still haven't taken Aliyah. Kind of interesting. Okay, there's still Kingdom of Jerusalem troops out here. I had no idea during the campaign that these troops were even here. Again, they haven't taken any of the camps. And the garrison is damaged, so it was just a case of, like, I guess they besieged it for a couple of turns and then just left. Now they're coming down here to this camp, but they don't seem to be bringing as many forces as they did. I think they must have split up, like these two. Which I guess wouldn't be a problem if they actually just attacked the freaking camps and took them. Like, these troops could be needed back here, to face the Egyptians. Obviously, we've expanded a bit. Looks like Roger and the Regent are here at Kufa now. We've taken Kermanshah, Kirkuk. Doesn't look like we've expanded at all to the north here yet, but I assume we will soon. Let's see, where's our armies? Okay, we've got an army here. It's not quite ready yet, though. This must be, yes, Mr. Bordeaux. Mr. Bordeaux. It always saddens me when my best and most, like, my favorite generals, the ones that I, like, really know by name, perish in a campaign. He dies somewhere down here. As does King Philip, actually. All right, but yes, the Byzantines have not taken Yerevan yet, but I do remember during the campaign that they actually had a few different tries before they finally got it. And actually, there's one of my spies right there. So I was watching at that point. Let's see, not much has changed over here. Oh, I have started my westward conquests, though, because I have Adana. Oh, and I have Alania and Iconium, yes. So here is the prince. Going to take Atalia next, and then we would head up to Morium. And I don't think anything else will have happened in the rest of the Byzantine territories over here. So the Egyptians have taken Constantinople at this point. And yes, the Venetian forces, I swear they're larger now than they were, so they must have gotten troops for losing Constantinople. I assume it was the Crown Prince who did that? Yes. So he successfully took the city, and those cowardly, filthy, wannabe crusaders, the Venetians, instead of, like, doing their duty and getting their butts back in there to take it, which, I mean, they shouldn't have taken it in the first place. But, you know, if you're going to do something wrong, at least do it right. And so if you took the city, you should have at least held on to it. But of course, they don't do that. They actually end up coming south here into my territory, and that is where they meet their end. All right, but anyway, again, I think that's basically it. So let's just go right to the next one. Oh, actually, did I look at my own territory? I mean, I guess I did, but it's not a whole lot to say. Conquered in this direction. Oh, yeah, I did talk about that. Okay. Yep, let's just go right to the next one. All right, so here we are, and it's only been a few turns, actually. I'm expecting not much to have changed. Oh, wait, the King of Jerusalem took Aliyah. Oh, does that mean that Egypt never had it? I could have sworn they had it at some point. Or maybe I was just thinking that they did because these merchants have been here for so long, and these are Egyptian merchants. But no, it looks like Jerusalem had it, and basically always had it. Ah, they've lost Arsuf at this point, though. And Jerusalem is now hard-pressed, though it has massive garrison, and there's more forces over here, though Egypt has even more forces over here as well. Dang, Jerusalem was in deep trouble at this point. Okay, and it looks like this must have been... Okay, yeah, so all of Jerusalem's forces, they're kind of... Okay, you know what? We've been wandering around in the desert for God knows how long. And we're getting our butts kicked, so we should probably call our troops back so that we can actually fight the Egyptians instead of just wandering around the desert, not taking settlements. Of course, Roger is still here, and he's certainly taking settlements. He took Kufa at that point, so now he's going down here, and then he'll go up north and take that camp, and then that will actually be it. Actually, by that point, our regent will be the new prince. Our prince must be dying somewhat soon. Alright, so at this point we have taken Tabriz. This must be, yes, Mr. Bordeaux. He's going to go take Van and basically leave Yerevan to the Byzantines. I think at this point I must have received... Ah, yes, and there's Arthur. I must have at this point received the notification saying that the Mongols were going to show up. Because I think I made the decision to leave Yerevan to the Byzantines and just go for Van, because we knew the Byzantines were coming. Or the Mongols. The Mongols were coming. The Byzantines aren't coming anywhere.
Ready to trade.
Ah, yes. And you see, here's my spy. This isn't my territory, so I couldn't place a watchtower here to see if the Mongols would come this way, because I didn't know where they were coming from. So I had a spy here, watching to see if they come there, and then I think I had a general place a watchtower over here, because this is in my territory. Might have even been... No, I don't think it was Arthur. I don't think he would have come through the mountains. It would probably have been Mr. Paris here. And actually, that's why Arthur is here too, though, just placing a watchtower, because I couldn't quite see the edge of the map. And yeah, so Mongols, I've already received the notification that the Mongols are on their way, which means, yes, it's beginning. I'm starting to train up, like, better troops. It looks like I might have already built the ballista towers. Yes, I have. In fact, that must have been the last building I built, because it's there on the end there. I was expecting dark tidings, dark days ahead. And yes, you see it with Mosul, it's the same deal. More troops are being trained up to fight the Mongols, and we are imminently expecting. Apart from that, though, I don't think much else will have changed in our territory.
Ready and able.
It looks like King Philip is going to pick up his army. Oh, Damascus. We took Damascus. Ah, yes. Okay, so Philip, I think, took Baalbek and Damascus. And then he gets, like, his army retrained and I think retooled a bit. Because I don't remember what troops he had originally. Oh, I think he was the one who had just, like, a whole bunch of squires and archers and basically some cavalry. And so, yes, then I basically build him up a quote-unquote proper army with, like, artillery and, you know, different troop types. I assume I probably give him the Armenian archers at that point. And so then he is sent west, because he plays a pivotal role in the destruction of the Mongols. Or wait, east, not west. East. Because he plays a pivotal role in the destruction of the Mongols. Well, it looks like the Byzantines showed up to Caesarea at one point. Should that be Caesarea? Should I give it like the Latin pronunciation? if that would even be, like, I don't know what the EA on the end would necessarily be, but anyway. But they must not take it. Or if they do, they lose it to rebels again, because I'm pretty sure, again, that that's held by rebels at the end. Now, at this point, the prince has taken, yes, Attalia, Iconium, Amorium, yes, and here he is. Some of his last battles, I think, are fought against the Venetians. Speaking of the Venetians... Wait, is that it? It looks like they fought some battles... Oh, wait, there's another army. Okay. You gotta love how the flags can sometimes, like, hide each other. Because, like, right here, it looks like the Venetians only have, like, maybe one army, if you, like, combined everything. But I was like, they have more troops than that. But yes, it's because that flag is hiding behind the Byzantine one. And that's a much larger force there.
Friend nor foe, your majesty.
Yeah, you're not a friend or foe for now, but you will be a foe very soon. At this point, the Egyptians are definitely building up their forces here. There's still no Egyptian fleet here, but there is one by the time we get here. So they must just build some ships here at Constantinople. I sort of assumed that that fleet was the one that dropped off the army that took Constantinople, but that is clearly not the case. Also, the crown prince that we fight later in the campaign really must be a different person, because I seem to remember we do kill this guy here during the Battle of Constantinople itself. Alright, but anyway. Yeah, I guess that's it, so let's move right on to the next save. Alright, so, next save. Honestly, not too much has happened over here, though I do see I have plenty of merchants over here at this point, trading with the Egyptians. We're not at war at this point, and I can't help but notice they don't seem to have a lot of troops over here except at Dumyat. So, yes, all of their troops are basically over here. They seem to have lost quite a few of them. I guess the Kingdom of Jerusalem bringing their forces back over here managed to hold the tide, though, I mean, they still have a lot of troops over here. They still have all these guys here, and if you put all of these forces together, I imagine that it would be decently sized. Let's see. So now, if we head into the desert, yes, it looks like Roger and our regent are going to take the very last of the rebel settlements that are over here. Or, not the last settlements. There's literally only one. So he takes that settlement, and then that's it. The desert is fully conquered with the exception of various rebels that keep popping up. And oh dear, the Mongols have shown up at this point. And they're about to take Kermanshah, giving us the one and only defeat we had at their hands. When I say take it, I think they technically sack it and then just leave, because it was a rebel settlement and they never held it at any point. Again, I assume the mechanic works similar to the way it worked in Barbarian Invasion, where they just have the option of sacking it instead of, like, seizing it and holding it. They get a lot of money, but then they just leave. And basically it becomes just a rebel settlement at that point. We have our mighty garrison at Baghdad and our mighty garrison at Mosul. as well as various armies wandering around here. King Philip is nearly at the bridge with his new army, and again, he plays the pivotal role, or a pivotal role. Actually, I think I would say even the pivotal role, because obviously I think Mr. Bordeaux helps out and definitely fights. In fact, wait a minute. Is this where Mr. Bordeaux died? See, if I remember correctly, Mr. Bordeaux and King Philip died like one right after the other. One of them, I think, died in battle, and I think it was King Philip. I think he was fighting the Mongols and he died, but then Mr. Bordeaux died like the next turn, or maybe even like 2 turns, 3 turns later, of like just natural causes. But yes, they're approaching the ends of their lives, even if they don't know it yet. Where is Mr. Bordeaux right now? This must be him here. Yep, there he is. He's returning from taking Van. It looks like the Byzantines have successfully taken Yerevan. I've already recalled my spy from his duties of watching this area here, because we know the Mongols are not coming that way. They're not coming from that way.
Struggle if you
I don't know. There's no reason at looking at them. I already remember the vast hordes of the Mongols from earlier in the campaign. Alright, so let's see. The Byzantines obviously haven't changed very much. Oh, wait a minute. Why are there so many more rebels here than there were before? Because I swear, that flag was not full when I last looked. Also, I can't help but notice there's a mix of like Turkish and Byzantine rebels here. See, none of the... Well, no, some of the units are damaged, but some are not. Many are not, actually. Only like these... I would say from this unit here to this unit here, there's damaged units here. But then you go from this unit here onwards, and no harm at all. And in fact, from this unit onward, there's no Byzantine troops. It's all like Turkish troops from that point. So it's almost like these guys were the actual garrison, and they were Byzantines. But then, like, there was another rebel force of, like, Turks that was, I don't know, wandering around here, I guess, and showed up, and they appeared to have joined the garrison. Something like that kind of happened when I took... it was Alania or Atalaya, but I can't remember which one. I think it was Alania. But basically, there were, like, Byzantines and Turks, like, mixed up in there. And I think it was because there was, like, a rebel force wandering around that just kind of joined their garrison. But one of the two was Turkish and the other was Byzantine. And so we had, like, this fight with Byzantine and Turkish troops in that settlement. Or maybe it was this one. I think it was Alania, though. Right now, at this point, the Venetians have truly entered our territory, and they've already lost one of their generals to rebellion, or one of their armies to rebellion. I think it's actually like the next turn, basically, where the Venetian leader here actually just comes and blocks me from going any further, and I just decide to attack him and eliminate his forces at that point, because it was only this army, this really tiny army here, and then, of course, the rebels who wouldn't really fight on their side anyways, and so I decided it would be a good idea to eliminate them. Again, nothing really seems to be happening over here. Looks like the Byzantines, under the Emperor, are intending to take back Constantinople, though we know already that they fail. And yes, the Egyptians are starting to build up a fleet here. All right, but anyway, it looks like that is actually it for this save, so let's go ahead and move on. All right, so next save. It has been a few more turns, and actually it might have been... Oh, dang, I don't remember how many it's been, but whatever. It's a little further into the future. We have merchants coming over here to Siwa. Our stranglehold on Egypt's resources is well and truly underway. Yes, it looks like Tanta and Alexandria are going to be large cities, and Cairo is the huge city by the end of the campaign, because I don't think they get any bigger at this point. Let's see. To be honest, it looks like just kind of a stalemate here. Jerusalem has a lot of troops. I mean, the Kingdom of Jerusalem has a lot of troops. The Egyptians have lots of troops. And I don't think anyone loses anything to anyone else until I come down here and besiege Arsuf. And shortly before I take that, Jerusalem, the Kingdom of Jerusalem, takes back Ascalon. So this is going to be just a cluster for quite a while. They're even like blockading each other's ports that are like right next to each other. All right, there's very little to discuss in the desert, I assume, except for, I imagine at this point, yes, our prince must have died, and now we have Reynold is now the prince. And yes, I did see the Mongols up there, so we'll get to them in a moment. But yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything down here to discuss. All right, King Philip has already won his first victory, I think. Yes, because you can actually see, well, it's very difficult to see, but you can see the famous battle marker down there under the bridge. So he must have already fought that huge battle where we destroyed quite a few of the Mongols. Which actually makes sense, because the only time they actually came south up past Baghdad like this was after that battle. Then we have Mr. Bordeaux here, who is going to actually end up retreating, because I'm okay with King Philip holding the bridge, but he doesn't, Mr. Bordeaux doesn't have any like good advantageous spot to stand on. I didn't want him facing down quite so many Mongols by himself. And of course, the garrison at Baghdad is just, well, not only are they quite large, but they have the advantage of the walls and the ballista towers if they had attacked, which obviously they did not. Okay, nothing really going on up here. Looks like the Byzantines are going to try and take Tbilisi for the first time. Or at least I assume it's the first time. Caesarea still has that huge force of rebels, and I imagine it probably stays that way till the end of the campaign. I need to check that. I need to reload the last save again and see what happens there. Ah, the Venetians have been crushed at this point. Not just the actual faction, but even the rebels have been defeated. In fact, that may have only been just like a couple of turns ago. Okay, nothing else has happened over here, but I can see that my army under Mr. Gusseau, again, just how I choose to pronounce his name, I really don't know. He has already taken off in his fleet and is going to take Constantinople away from the Egyptians in a few turns. Now, does that mean... All right, so now here's the Emperor.
Salutations, trusted friend.
I believe that is the same Emperor as before, but his forces are much worse for wear. I assume he was simply defeated by the Egyptians. And actually, I see that there's a famous battle marker right behind... Come on. Ah, I can't. I really just... Oh, wait, actually, I can zoom in. There, you know what? You get out of the way. Okay, I cannot get to it. Oh, actually, it's not because the army is in the way. Apparently, the city itself is in the way. I mean, the army might be in the way as well, because maybe if you had moved, I could just come right here. But yeah, I assume that famous battle marker will say that the Byzantines lost against the Egyptians. And that's why the Emperor is in retreat. He doesn't have actually any large forces in the area except for at Nicaea. Oh, no. He actually has a pretty sizable force over here, too. So, yes, he could still defend his territory or even try again, though I don't think he gets another chance before our army arrives and takes it first. All right, but anyway, let's go ahead and let's get to the next save. All right, so we've only got a couple of saves to go after this, and I think things are kind of slowing down at this point, but anyway, Egypt is exactly as it was, I think. And nothing has really changed over here, except for I think the Egyptians might be in a slightly better position. They seem to have more troops. Oh, I see Mr. Albret and his army is over here, and he's the one who besieges and takes Arsuf. And as you can see, I see more armies, or at least one more army, arriving from the north over here. So Mr. Rocher. So yes, very soon we join the war against the Egyptians. In fact, it might have actually been this very turn, because I think this might have been the turn where I went, No, maybe I'll leave him here, maybe not. We'll see. You can see the Egyptians still hold Constantinople, and I thought I moved him on that same turn. But you know what? Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. All right, so we go over here. There shouldn't really be much to see. The Mongols have been defeated at this point. I mean, not fully defeated. Obviously, there's still have the faction leader over here. But we did fight all of the remaining battles basically against their major forces here. And so you have Mr. Bordeaux's victory here. You have King Philip's victory on the bridge. There would have been a couple more battles down here, but obviously we won those as well. And actually, I think Mr. Bordeaux and King Philip must be gone at this point. Yes, because here we have Mr. Lusignan, who I think took over one of the armies. And then... Yes. Yep, it looks like at this point, King Philip and Mr. Bordeaux are dead. How unfortunate that they didn't make it to the end. It seems like always my favorite generals never... Well, okay, not never make it to the end. But many of them do not. And I guess that's fair, because usually the campaigns do go on for a while, and... You know, they get old and they die. Or, you know, I get them killed off. That also happens on occasion. Again, I think that is what happened to King Philip. I killed him. It was me. I did it. All right, but anyway, we must put aside our grief and continue. Let's see. Yes. Okay, it looks like the Byzantines are trying again. Or wait, no, it looks like they haven't tried yet. Or if they did try, it was a really poor try because they didn't kill anybody. But they must have been standing here for a while because there's devastation around them.
Hail, friends.
Have you just been standing here for like a few turns since we last checked in on you and you're just like waiting for something to happen? All right, so then, yes, we come over here. Caesarea, or Kaiseria. I still don't know how I should try and pronounce that. I don't even know. I assume that's Julius Caesar, right? Like, this city has something to do with him. In which case, maybe Kaiseria would be a proper way to pronounce it. But maybe I'm just making an assumption there, and it actually has nothing to do with him. Of course, it may not have anything to do with Julius Caesar himself, but with the Caesars, as in, like, the Roman emperors. So that could be a reference to that as well. I don't know. I'm just making wild assumptions because I like to do that. Anyway, moving right along. So we come down here. Again, not much to discuss until we get to Constantinople, at which point I think we will have much to discuss. Oh. Okay, there are not many ships, but I guess the Egyptians must have gotten around us at some point. Fortunately, it was not the fleet, though, that had the Egyptian military on it. That fleet we intercepted and destroyed. And so at this point, Mr. Gusseau has arrived and is besieged in Constantinople. And yes, this was the turn. This must be the turn in which we actually took the city. Yes, because I already have the mercenaries. I didn't build up 8 siege towers. I only had 4 when I went into the battle. And I didn't wait for the Byzantines to join up as well. So yes, this was the battle in which, or the turn in which we took Constantinople. Which means, well, the Crown Prince isn't here. Was he on the ships that we sank? Oh, he could have been. Or I guess maybe he could have died in one of the battles with, like, the Byzantines, because I didn't check to see if he was still alive or not. But yes, in that case, I think this is also the turn then where I actually took Mr. Albray's army. Albray? I kind of like the way that sounds, but I'm pretty sure it's wrong. But anyway, yes, so this must be the turn where we actually start the siege of Arsuf. All right, but anyway, I think that's actually it for this one. So again, we've only got a couple more to go, and I think we'll just blaze right through them. All right, so yes, at this point, Egypt's ports have all been blockaded. I think I did point that out, or failed to point that out in a past save that we had started blockading them. But yes, I find this really annoying, though, because like they can still build ships, and that's fine, because that would be a way for them to break the blockade. But they don't seem to have to. They can just pass right through my ships that are blockading this port to go and, like, do something else. Like this fleet here, I think, actually originated elsewhere, like in one of these ports that I blockaded. Or maybe, oh, it might be this fleet. This fleet actually goes and blockades like a port over here somewhere, and then like another couple ships are built up, but they can just pass right through my blockade, and I don't think they should be able to do that. I think what they should have to do is, they can still build ships again, but they would have to build up enough ships to actually break the blockade, because otherwise, what the heck is the point of the blockade? I mean, economic. It hurts their economy, but I do think they should also not be able to leave until they've defeated the fleet that is actually blockading them. All right, and yes, at this point, the battles are well underway. In fact, I think this is where I began the last episode. Well, the last episode of the campaign, I mean. Because, yes, I think basically we have Mr. Rocher defeat that force. Then the Regent here defeats, well, not defeats, but drives this force into his waiting arms, and he kills them. There's actually a force in ambush over here, which my spy figures out, and that's how we send Geoffroy? You know what? I think I just call him the Regent because he is, and it's easier than trying to pronounce that name. But yes, it looks like Jerusalem has taken Ascalon at this point. Actually, I wonder if they did in the last save and I just didn't notice. But yes, Egypt is on the ropes now with the timely intervention of yours truly, of course. Well, there's not going to be much to talk about here in the desert. Again, no settlements will have changed hands or anything. We have taken back Kermanshah. Maybe we had by the last save. I guess I hadn't pointed it out. I guess the Byzantines decided it was time to stop. Oh, they must have actually besieged it at some point, though, because there's some casualties lost there. Are there any casualties amongst you?
I can only help you as my ruler
I don't know. Did they have damaged units before? I feel like their units were full last time I checked, but maybe not. I also think they have more units than they did. I thought it was just archers and one trebuchet. Oh, maybe there are troops from Yerevan who have, like, joined them or something. Alright, but anyway, we continue. Oh, it looks like the Byzantines are attacking, or at least besieging, Caesarea.
Greetings, friend.
Can they take it? I'm not too convinced that they can, but, you know, they're welcome to try. At least I wouldn't want to try and take that settlement with that force. Is it it's just a castle, right? Okay, well, at least it's not a fortress or a citadel. Getting to that second layer of, or third layer of walls even, is a pain in the butt. Okay, nothing else really to discuss over here. I don't see that Egyptian fleet. They must have made it back to Egypt by this point. Or, you know, the Byzantines intercepted them and killed them, because there's a whole bunch of Byzantine fleets, and there's even a one from Jerusalem over here, so it's possible they never made it home. Obviously, we took Constantinople, and so Mr. Gassot's force is just kind of standing there. Obviously, he didn't have much to do. Actually, all the armies over here didn't have much to do, but I didn't want to move them anywhere, because I thought, you know, the AI being what it is, yes, we're allies with the Byzantines, but the AI being what it is, they may not stay that way. And so I wanted at least some armies over here, especially since all of the rest of my frontiers with the Byzantines were basically being abandoned as I was sending armies against the Egyptians. Oh, speaking of which, oh, no, we already discussed that. Okay, yeah, I guess I don't think there's anything really else to discuss here, so I think now we're just going to go back to the last save where we left the campaign. All right, and so here we are at the last save where the campaign ended, and we already did a map reveal of this one, so I won't go over everything again. I do want to check, though. Let's see. Caesar. They did take Caesarea. The Byzantines won. Ah, well, you know what? Good for them. I'm shocked and surprised that they oh, the Emperor was there. I didn't notice that. And I see he's a different Emperor, so previous faction leader must have died. So I'm afraid this Emperor is probably going to follow after him pretty soon. I also, did he move most of his forces away from the settlement, or did he lose a whole bunch of them taking it? I suspect it's the latter. I see they haven't even had a chance to, like, repair buildings and stuff yet either. So I'm not sure how, like, quickly, like, how Johnny on the spot the AI is in that regard. Like, are they pretty quick about repairing buildings, you know, once they have the opportunity to do so? Or do they kind of hem and haw on that one? Do not know. But yeah, anyway, okay, I think, yeah, did I have any other questions, things that I wanted to check at the end of the campaign? Huge city, large city, large city. Yep, that's, I think, as I thought it was. Yeah, I guess I can't think of anything else, any other questions that I had, really. Oh, yes, and they're trying to take Tbilisi again. Well, good luck with that. All right, so that's it for the map reveals and the going through all the saves. So let's talk just a bit about army composition. It did change a bit throughout the campaign. Let's see. Whose army could I use as an example? I think this was a pretty standard army for me. Except for, I think earlier in the campaign, we were using the Sodir archers, and then later on, we were using the Armenian archers. In fact, someone over here has Armenian archers. Yes, Mr. Lusignan has Armenian archers. We also didn't have quite so many Hospitaller sergeants at the beginning there. I did standardize on that unit pretty quickly, but we did have lots of Edessan squires joining us, which I think we have a bunch of them. Yes, here. That was a pretty standard unit, but I think the units changed, but the actual, like, types of units, not really. Like, we always had 4 cavalry. We always had 7 melee infantry. We always had 4 ranged infantry, and then we always had 4 artillery units. So we did swap these out for, like, catapults and trebuchets if we were doing a siege, and again, we didn't always have crossbowmen. Knights of Antioch are something that are a unit that we definitely made heavy use of. I think technically the Knights of Edessa are a better unit, but it's just barely so. Yes, the only difference between them in terms of stats is their charge bonus. Literally everything else from their traits, I mean, even their, okay, I guess technically the recruitment costs are different too, but even like their upkeep is the same. So, like, I didn't want to get rid of the Knights of Antioch at any point, like the ones that I already had, because I figured, well, I already had them anyways, and there's no point in just, like, training a new unit. But I think if, like, I had a new army, I would have trained the Knights of Edessa. Except, by the time I think I made that decision, I had already decided to standardize on Turcopoles for some of my field armies, because that's something that did change, is I still always had 4 cavalry, but I did change to using Turcopoles instead of melee cavalry. I have to admit, that was kind of a hard decision for me to make, because I really wasn't so sure about them. Obviously, we had faced archer cavalry ourselves a fair bit in this campaign, especially when fighting like the Turks, and I think a bunch of the rebel settlements had them too. They were quite the annoyance, but I wasn't really sure, like, had they really turned the tide of any battle or anything? And I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure. So I, at the end there, decided to start using Turcopoles, and I do think they were actually a good unit. I'm still unsure, though, what I would do, like, if I could start the campaign over again. Would I go for Turcopoles right away? Or would I did what I actually did in the campaign and go for Knights? Or should I have mixed and matched? Like, should I have had 2 units of, say, Knights, and then, say, 2 units maybe of Turcopoles? It's very difficult to say, because I feel like, you know, there were times where having, you know, the archer cavalry was definitely better than having melee cavalry. But then I do also remember there were times where I did just, like, sweep, like, I basically was able to sweep my enemy from the field, partially due to, you know, the charges of my heavy cavalry. So, like, that would suggest maybe I should have gone half and half, but at the same time, would I have been able to as effectively sweep the enemy if I only had half the melee cavalry? Or would I have been as, you know, able to, you know, blast the enemy if I only had half as many cavalry archers? Difficult to say. I'm honestly not sure what I would do if, you know, I were to play this campaign again, like if I would go half and half, or if I would just pick one or the other. Difficult to say, but at the very least, I can't say that I'm, like, disappointed in the Turcopoles. They were actually a good unit there. I was actually thinking we weren't going to be able to use them at the end. Or before the end. Because I I think it was Mr. Elbray's army. Let's see. Okay, he's in Arsuf right now. Oh, no, he's not. Oh, he's down here. I think his army was the first one to get the Turcopoles, and then obviously we have a couple of other armies here that are using them. But I didn't know if I was going to fight any battles against the Egyptians. In fact, I kind of thought I wouldn't, because I was debating whether or not I would even, like, leave this bridge here with Mr. Elbray's army and, like, attack. And I guess I'm kind of glad that I did, partially because, again, in the spirit of, like, leaving the campaign in a place that, you know, I would want, you know, if I were to continue, like, I would have done the things that I would have normally done up to that point. Like, there would have been no reason for my guys to just be standing here for 10 turns doing nothing. And I guess it did give us a couple of episodes of basically fighting the Egyptians. But yes, but all these armies had the Turcopoles. And so I was thinking, you know, if we don't fight the Egyptians, then we'll just never see the Turcopoles in action. But because we did push into Arsuf and we did fight all of the little armies that were around here, we actually ended up seeing them in a few battles. And again, I actually think they're a good unit. One thing that annoyed me is that I never did actually get to the Knights Hospitaller. I used lots of Hospitaller Sergeants. I have quite a few Hospitaller Crossbowmen, but the only Knights Hospitaller I ended up using are the ones I started the game with, which I think they're currently in... Oh, Prince is the Malevolent. Oh, that's right. He did have like a full 10 skull dread. Forgot about that. Master of Assassins. Is that because I regularly slaughter people with the Assassins? I guess that's something that I should point out, that I don't think I pointed out too much during the actual campaign. But I do actually have Assassins wandering around here. I've had them kill, like, enemy merchants who were, like, killing off my merchants. Well, killing off. I guess putting them out of business. And I couldn't get, like, merchants of my own that were, like, of high enough quality to, like, stop them. And so I had Assassins taking them out. There were a couple of Byzantine priests over here who were causing, like, huge unrest. And you see, they still haven't even fully recovered because they were spreading orthodoxy, or Greek orthodoxy, I assume that would be. And so I had to off them too. I think I've offed... actually, I guess that would basically be it. Merchants and Byzantine priests. Actually, there were a couple of imams I think I did as well, because they were spreading Islam and also causing public order issues. But yes, my Assassins did come in handy, and I assume that's why he has the Master of Assassins trait. Because now that I think about it, I think most of the work I did do with the Assassins was closer to the end of the campaign, and he would have been Prince at that time. So I doubt his predecessor would have actually had that trait. I guess it fits because he's such an evil person. Like, he would be far more willing to use Assassins than his predecessor. And I think that's mostly it for army composition. I guess the only really truly odd army was Mr. Gossot's army because, well, first off, he didn't have any mangonels, like any field armies, or any of the mangonels that most of my armies would have. Because usually I would bring, like, siege artillery along in, like, a backup army, and they would swap out as needed. But I knew that this would just be a siege battle, so no point in bringing them. And, of course, he had the Marshal of the Hospitallers, which I'm still kicking myself over this unit. Because I had this unit in... Let's see. I think it was in the Prince's, like... I don't know what you would call this. This motley force of rebel killers. For a long time. And he was totally wasted there, as was, I think, this unit, though it's at half strength, so it probably would have just died off if I had given it to another army. But, like, I shouldn't have had that unit with him the whole time. It was a unique unit. It's really powerful. Like, in terms of stats, I think that's probably higher than even the Knights Hospitaller. Let's see. 13, 7, 17? Okay, it's actually comparable, though... they actually have 6 experience, and the Marshal has... The Marshal only has 4. So I think if they had equal experience, this unit would be better. But what really makes this unit so special is the 2 hit points. Because every other unit that I have, with one exception, only has 1 hit point. Well, I guess technically the General's Bodyguards as well. But you see, I could have, really sent them into situations where like the other heavy cavalry would like take a lot of casualties and trust that they would come out the other side victorious. But I didn't do that because I had them wandering around the desert killing rebels, which I should not have done that. The other unique unit is, I think it was the Cannons of the Holy Sepulchre, which... Where is that unit? Which army is it in? I actually don't remember. Oh, that's right, of course. They were in the original Prince's army, so they would be over here. I wonder if I should have sent them away, because, like, I know I said I was keeping these armies here to kind of hold back, or at least be available to fight the Byzantines, but maybe I should have sent the Cannons of the Holy Sepulchre back, because they are a very good unit, and they've got, again, it's a unique unit, so they also have the 2 hit points. And I guess this is like the one army that actually had the Knights of Edessa in it, as you can see there. So basically, I should have left the army here, but sent the cannons back, and I didn't think of that. Oh well. I guess I just don't use my unique units very well. All right, for settlement development, I guess there isn't too much to talk about. Crac des Chevaliers and Aleppo were basically where we recruited all of our armies, with the exception maybe at the end there, where we did use Mosul, and to some degree we used Baghdad as well, because they can train the sergeants and some of the artillery. And so since these two were basically handling army recruitment, basically every other settlement prioritized economy buildings. Which all of that is pretty standard for my campaigns. I usually have like a recruiting grounds, like a core place where I recruit my armies, and then every other place focuses on economic stuff. Maybe if there's a settlement that's like going to be on the border with an enemy for a while, I might focus on like walls and whatever military units I think would be good for defense, but it's almost inevitably just economic buildings, and the garrison is just composed of militia units that can be upkept for free. Or upkept for free? Their upkeep is free. I think the only real exception in this campaign would have been when we were preparing for our fight with the Mongols. You may recall I did give Baghdad like a full garrison of other units. In fact, I disbanded all of their militia so that they could have like sergeants and artillery and archers and just other units. The same with Mosul, which my castle's only ever really had 1 squire unit and 1 Sodir archers, so if you go over here, that's them. Now, Lusignan's army is just retraining, which is why they're in Crac des Chevaliers at the moment. This is the actual garrison of the place. I had to move them out just so that we can move him in. I mean, I guess I could have split up his forces, but, it seemed faster to just tell the garrison to get the boot while we just replenish, and then we could send him on his way and put the garrison back in. I guess as a quick reminder, because I do mention this in my prologues, but I also like to remind people in my epilogues, because there might have been some things that I did during the campaign that seemed kind of odd. For example, I don't do auto-resolves, basically ever. Even if it's like, well in my favor or anything, I always fight the battles myself. In fact, the battles you guys don't see, like the battles against the rebels, or against like really tiny forces that I just go, they don't need to see that battle. I still fight those battles myself, even though, you guys aren't ever going to see them. And that's just a personal preference of mine. I really like the battles in Total War games, and even like the small battles, like, even though I know I'm going to win, I'm not going to suffer a lot of casualties. It's not like a heart-pounding, exciting battle, but I do like to fight them anyways, just to, well, for a start, to preserve my troops, because it always seems like auto-resolve takes away more of my troops than I think it should have. But also just because, like, then, it's a different sort of battle, where instead of, like, desperately fighting to win or anything like that, it's more of a, how can I kill these guys, like, without taking, any casualties or minimal casualties or whatever. It's a different kind of challenge to me. Again, not one focused on winning, but just on something else. And I always find that enjoyable anyways. That's also why I fight battles to the end. So may have noticed quite a few times there were times where I could have just ended the battle. because I got the message that says, would you like to continue the battle or would you want to end the battle? I always fight the battles to the end. I think, running down the enemy and killing them as they flee or try to flee the battle is as much a part of the battle as, all the rest of it. And so I always fight those battles to the end. Now, I might speed things up if, it's taking too long, though I think I did that pretty rarely. Definitely in this campaign, I don't remember really doing that. Or I might even hit end battle if, there's no possibility of my troops, catching up to theirs and, killing them before they escape the battlefield. But, again, I don't think that happens very often, and I don't really recall if it happened very much in this campaign at all. And that does apply as much to field battles as it does to siege battles. So, again, if I had the opportunity to end the battle early, because, I got all of the enemy troops out of the center of the settlement and I managed to rout them, it didn't matter. I didn't hit end battle there. I fought to the last man and to the bitter end. Again, that's just my preference. I feel like that's part of the battle. Getting all of the forces, all the enemy's forces, killing all of them, or, taking them prisoner, whichever, is part of the battle. And it's just really anticlimactic when you just have this message pop up and it says, all right, the battle's over. You want to end it right now? And it's no, no, I don't. Why would you even ask? I mean, I understand why it's there. I realize that for other people, I think most people probably would just end many of these battles, and it's just a quirk of mine, but I don't do it. I just don't do it. That also means that I didn't use any of the, what I call magic centers. Because, you take the center of the settlement from the enemy, and there's that little countdown timer that starts to, give you the victory. I hate that. I hate that. Okay, it's one thing to, maybe if the battle's over, everyone's routing, and, the battle's basically over. If you want to pop up a message, at least offering the option of ending the battle right there, I guess go ahead. Again, I wouldn't take it, but I could see why other people might take it. But I cannot conceive of why taking the center of the settlement and waiting 2 minutes would be considered like a good victory to me. That would seem like almost like I cheated. I mean, it's not cheating, obviously, it's part of the game, but I would feel like it. I didn't fight the battle. I just used a magic timer to win, and I don't like it. All right, so the last thing to discuss really quickly is just the mods, which in the description, you can see a list of the mods, which this was basically a vanilla campaign. So, I mean, there's no no overhaul mods or anything. I think it was just, the typical things where I did the 4 GB patch and the engine improvement project, which has become pretty much standard. Or wait, is it engine improvement or engine overhaul project? Well, whichever it is, it's in the description. You can check it out there if you want. I did partway through add, if you actually look in the description, you'll see there's YouTube videos instead of mod pages. And they basically include fixes for pikemen and gun units. I added them midway through the campaign, but I think I don't remember if I actually mentioned that I did at any point. Obviously, it didn't come into play here in this campaign because we never fought or used pike units or any gun units either, but I guess technically I made those changes even though they didn't affect anything in the campaign. I usually also like to report how many crashes I had. Just, for... I guess because one thing people seem to tend to have a lot of problems with, especially with the older games, is running them just well enough so that they don't crash. And if you throw in mods, that often seems to get even worse. But I don't know. Every campaign that I've done so far on this channel has had 1, maybe 2 crashes. And in some cases, I don't think it had any. And actually, this is one of the ones where we had no crashes. We did have that strange bug a couple of times where I would end a battle and my camera would start off in the darkness over there and I couldn't move it back onto the map. But I think the problem with that is that I use one of the mods I'm using is called Free Cam, which adjusts the camera. It gives you more modern camera controls. It's really good. I liked it a lot. But I think there were a couple of times there where I accidentally closed it out in the middle of a session and then started it back up again without actually restarting the game. And I think, I could be wrong about this, but I think that's what caused that. I think it only happened like twice, and I can't think of any other reason, like any other cause of that, unless it just kind of randomly happens at times. But I think that's what that was. And again, there were no crashes or anything, so obviously it ran, the campaign ran really well, and the mods were not breaking things left, right, and center. All right, and so I think that's actually it. Really nothing else to discuss, anything else that I can think of. So I guess, again, this is the last episode, so there should be other campaigns already out. Definitely old campaigns that I've completed, certainly, but there's also the Lord of the Rings Remastered campaign that's running right now. And depending on how far into the future you see this, there'll be other campaigns already out for you to go see as well. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in any of my future campaigns.